So, you're in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, one of your favourite locations, and the one helipad you want to use doesn't exist in the otherwise extensive database. Well, guess what? You can fix it yourself, and seriously, if I can do it, you can do it too. So in this tutorial, I will work together with you. We'll add a simple helipad to match a real-world location. We'll put in some parking options for your favourite rotary-winged machine, and we'll do some easy improvements to the local landscape. So stay with me, or skip ahead to where you want to go with the channel markers, and let's fly! And let's zoom into the great continent of Australia to zoom right in here down to Melbourne. So Melbourne, here's our quick orientation. There's Essendon Airport, a general aviation field, and here's Moorabbin down here as well, another one of those. And out here to the east of Melbourne is the world famous Yarra Valley winemaking region. So who would not want to hop in their helicopter and go for a very expensive lunch out here in beautiful Yarra Valley? So what I thought would be quite fun to do for myself is to go down here to Levantine Hill, which has this helicopter facility that I'm circling right here, but there is nothing in MSFS 2024. Now, I don't mean to criticize Microsoft Flight Simulator here, because actually there are thousands of helipads all over the world, and we can go lots of different and interesting places, but not everywhere is included. So how do I go about getting this area here into the simulator so that I can use it like any other small airport? Well, one thing you can do is come into OpenStreetMap like this, and I will zoom into the correct area here. And so some helpful person has indeed specified in OpenStreetMap that these are helipads here. It's just that through whatever process MSFS 2024 uses to ingest its helicopter landing pad data, it hasn't grabbed these. So, not a problem. I'm just going to get the location for this one. So, Levantine Hill helipad. Just click through into here. Thank you, A Hunter G95, for putting this in here. And what will I do? I'll just go into one of these. And here's a coordinate. So this will be useful. So I'm just going to put that in. Whoops, put that into my paste buffer, and we can start making this helipad a reality. So just to make this easier, I will get our trusty Airbus H125. I'll just put it on the ground over here, just out of the way of this stuff over here for now. Set as departure, and I'll make it on the ground shut down so I don't have the rotors whirring away the whole time. So there we go. We've just put ourselves down here on the ground, and that'll help us get into the sim. And if you are approaching Levantine Hill in real life, this is something like what it would look like. Let's just get a bit lower here. We find that this area here is a bit sparse. There's the satellite imagery of the helipad. Got a couple of boulders auto-generated in there for us as well. Not ideal. We'll get that sorted out soon. And these are the parking areas with the sort of the paths worn into the ground there to get to the parking areas for the helicopters. So this is what we have got to work with to start off. By the way, the auto-generation of the plants and rocks and stuff is different every time. So we might need to address that at some point as well. But let's start with the absolute bare basics of what we need to do just to be able to take off and land here. And to get things started, we are going to want to turn on developer mode. So settings from the main menu there, advanced options, and turn on developer mode there. I actually leave it on the whole time, and it's just sitting up here, but I have the, what is it called now? Auto hide menu bar, so it just sits up the top the whole time for me if should I want to do things like turn on the FPS counter or something. Anyway, what are we going to do here? We are going to load, first of all, from editors, the project editor. Nothing in here at the moment. I create a default creator name and a default company name. That can just be whatever you like, but it does need to be something, so make it meaningful for you. I've just called mine Matthew Let's Fly. What a great name. So project, I'm going to go new project, and this is asking me where this is going to get saved. Do not make this your community folder. Make it somewhere separate, an area where you can keep all of your projects. So project name, we're going to call it Levantine Hill Helipads. So those dashes came from the spacebar, so it pads out the spaces with those dashes there. So that's all looking fine there. It'll create it just in that generic location for me where I can review my old projects. That's all fine. Create new project. Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to make out of here, I want to make a package. Next. And in that package, the type of package is going to be an airport. So the display title will be Levantine Hill Helipads. Maybe it could just be Levantine Hill. Whatever, it's fine. Package name will be Levantine Hill space Helipads. Okay, that's all fine there. Now, this is important. Am I overriding an existing airport? No. I'm creating an airport anywhere? Yes. But I do need to give it an ICAO. Now, as far as I know, this location, this winery, does not have its own ICAO code. So I'm going to make one up. So to show you, for instance, if I were to go YMML for Melbourne, I will get this warning here that code's already in use. So I'm just going to make my own. I'm just going to call it YEL. That's also in use. I would advise you to put a 5-character code in here if you're just making your own. So I'm just going to call it YMLEV, and we're going to call it Levantine Hill. And I'm just going to need to get this longitude and latitude. I'm going to paste that from where I was before in OpenStreetMap. Okay, so those are the correct values pasted from the screen I showed you earlier. We create airport. So nothing actually changes yet. There's some actual work for us to do here. So what I will do over here is load. I'm just going to expand out the package here, or the project, and then we see the airport scenery below it. I'm going to load in editor, and then we get a bunch of stuff coming up. Now, these are windows that I had placed here before. I can just minimize the material editor. That's not relevant to us right now. So if your screen doesn't look like this, and it very well may not, then we can change a couple of things. So you just need to get the scenery editor. This is the main one. You notice that when I close that, all of those other ones close as well. It's not very obvious that that's the kind of the parent of all of those. So from the scenery editor, you can ask to view these other things that I've got. Objects down the bottom there, properties over on the left, and gizmo in between. So these all do important things. Objects is how we add things. Scenery editor is how we see the whole thing in total. And properties is, you will see that as we go. Important properties become visible to us there. And the gizmo is how we handle things and move things around inside the game world. And I just noticed when I closed the scenery editor, it lost that project. So I'll just load it again. And there is the name of our airport. Good. That means that things will be created. In fact, why don't we just do a quick little edit on this? So when I select the airport here in the scenery editor, we see some stuff highlighted over here. I could spend a moment to get it absolutely centered. It looks like it's kind of okay. I do notice that the object test radius seems very large at 2 kilometers. I'm just going to change that to 400 meters so we get a smaller kind of circle. I don't quite know if that's important to what we're doing here, just creating a simple helipad. Country name, again, not sure how crucial this is, but I'm just going to type into some details here. Victoria, and the locality is Coldstream. Airport name, Levantine Hill. And I think that's all fine now. So there's that. Very highly advisable for you to save your scenery as you go. That saves it in that project file that you created earlier on. And so let us add our first object. Now that from this list here is going to be a helipad. So in our objects down here, once we've got our airport set up here, we are going to choose from that long list there. I don't know what all of these do yet, but I'm learning. Helipad, obvious, kind of really. I'm just going to choose the H sort of generic one first, and I'm going to add it. And so then we have our helipad entered in the wrong place. So in our gizmo, I'll just use the camera to come over here a bit. We can translate, rotate, or scale that object. I'm going to translate it into the correct place, but I'm also just going to maybe just get the scale right. I don't think it's 20 meters big. I think it's 10. And we'll just change both of those to, both of those to 10. There we go. Now that looks like it might be about the same size as what's on the ground there. So with translate selected, I can pull these arrows along, or maybe I could have used the square as well, and I can move the object around on the surface of planet Earth. Lovely. So let's get it nicely lined up. Notice that there's a bit of a issue here we're going to have to solve, and that is that it's not quite flat. So let's... How's that? Oh, there we go. It's just updated. I think that's okay. I'll just click out of it. I think that's all right. So what are we going to do about this level situation here? So I'm going to hit save again. Now, by the way, this would now work. If I build this package, unzip it into my community folder, this will work. I will be able to take off from YMLEV. But I don't like the fact that it's not level. So let's just think about what we might do here. So I am going to create a polygon for that. So I'm going to create a new object, polygon. I'm going to add the object. And what you get here is a very confusing situation. You get a little red addition to your pointer there. You can just see it above my mouse pointer there. And this is completely unintuitive. What you need to do is hold down the control key and start clicking the polygon you would like to flatten. And then you're left with this situation here at the end. And to close your polygon or finish it, you double click it. Totally unintuitive, but that's how it works. So that's double clicked, and now I've got a polygon. So click into that polygon, and you can see I've got a bit of an octagon there surrounding my helipad. Lovely. I am going to terraform, and we will see what happens here. It's got a fall off distance of 200 meters. I'm going to choose 2 meters first, and then you can see what it does. So 2 meters selected, and we're not quite solving the issue here. It's not quite flush with the ground. So I will start to increase it 5. 10. And so it looks like I need to lower the pad slightly, but the ground around it's now flatter. Alright, well I've finally got it, and the solution to that particular problem was to go back into that polygon and exclude secondary height maps. I've got no idea what that really is, but when I clicked it on, notice that we then had that helipad that was not flush. So I didn't need to do that in my previous one. Again, I just twiddled the slider here until I got it looking what I think is about right. So that looks like a nice, reasonably flat. Maybe this could be a little bit higher. Although, God, you can't type in a number here. It's a little bit inconsistent. Sometimes you can type all the things you need, sometimes you can't. So that looks okay there. I think that would be all right to put a helicopter down onto, don't you reckon? Oops, nearly forgot. There's one more thing to do here. I'm going to select the helipad. There are my properties. What have I not done here? I have not added the fact that it should be a starting point. So add start. And what orientation do I want the starting helicopter to have? I'm going to just point it east, so I'm going to make that 90 degrees. We get that green arrow indicating the direction the helicopter is going to point, so that there is now looking much better. So let's give it a go. I'm going to, crucially, save that scenery, and I am going to build and export. So here's what happens. We get this window popping out here. It's asking me which ones do I want to export. I'm going to say all of them, which is actually just one. And it wants to know, do I want to publish it to my community folder? Yes, I do. What I've learned here is that you don't actually select the community folder in this path here. You go the level above it, and then it will save it into the community folder. annoyingly kind of inconsistent. But anyway, build and export. And here's a bit of information here. It has rendered, it's skipped something, it's done 5 things, 0 failed, and it took 537 milliseconds and 286 nanoseconds. Well, I'm never going to get that time back. So here's my community folder. Notice it's completely empty because I have renamed my actual community folder so that I've got no other problematic things running. So I am going to extract my lovely new airport, and it will be, there it is, 1 level lower down than what I want it to be. So I just need to get those items, Control X, Control V, get those 1 level higher, so that now from the community folder we go directly down into our Levantine Hill, and I will now restart my simulator. Alright, let's zoom in and see how this has gone. And here's the Yarra Valley up here, and there it is! Levantine Hill. Oh, yes, 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 yes. There it is. There is our helipad. I can just see the concrete outline of it there. Set as departure. Only one option at this point in time. The H01 helipad. We'll deal with that later. Start flight. And there it is, people. Our H125 is on the pad, ready to go. The one that we just made. What a thrilling experience. Now, this means that you can use the MSFS 2024 flight planner to plan flights to this location, or start from this location and go somewhere else, back to Essendon, Moorabbin, Melbourne, whatever. So that, I'm calling, is a success. But what can we do to make this better? One, I want to get rid of that rock, that boulder that's auto-generated right there. 2, I want to get some more parking spaces in this area over here. And 3, I want to see what we can do about making this stuff over here a bit nicer. 4, is there still a 4? A pilot friend tells me that these trees here are very tall. Now this looks very tall here in this simulator at the moment, but when I have Bijan Habashi's Seasons Enhanced, a must-have add-on in my opinion, in the simulator, these will be a bit lower. So I might just manually put in a couple of tall trees in that first spot, and this one over here as well. And then I think we will have created our, I don't know, a persuasive scenery, a persuasive winery scenery. I think this is supposed to be a stage. I can't promise to being able to fix that. Alright, well, let's make this thing beautiful, and what I want to do is add 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and 1, 2, 3 extra helicopter parking spaces. Maybe I'll make this 2 down here, and I'll add a static helicopter in here as well for the scenery richness. And here's a nice problem to solve. We've got that rock, that boulder, right in the pathway there. So let's sort that out. In fact, let's do that first. Let's get us back into the project editor. So all I've done is I've gone project, open recent, and here is the airport scenery again, which we will load. And we're back into, my helicopter's gone a bit strange, but we don't need to worry about that. Let's start to focus on this. Oh, now the boulder's gone, but I know that there's a risk of it showing up, so we are going to exclude it. Let's go. For this, we will need to, again, expand the airport, and we are going to add a new polygon. So, polygon, from here, polygon, we're going to add it. I get that strange cursor, so what will I do here? I will get right up here so I can see everything. That'll do. So we will go, hold down control, control, click, control, click, control, click, and again, and again, 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 going all the way around here. I don't want to exclude those trees there, I don't think, so we'll just do something like that. And that looks pretty good, and remember, the double click, now we've got our polygon. So, this polygon, so the first one we can see is a terraform and no secondary height map. Okay, this one I won't bother to rename it, but I will simply exclude vegetation. So, well, I mean, you could have that if you wanted to. You could have a absolute verdant subtropical forest down here. But let's not do that. Let's just simply exclude any vegetation in there. That's done. And rocks as well. We'll click rocks, and that's what it would look like if you had everything on full. I mean, you could just go absolutely crazy on this. Look at that. Fantastic. Or you could simply exclude, and now we have no rocks. So that is what I wanted. I think that will work. So I'm going to call this helicopter parking 1. And notice there's this number down here. Not very obvious, but we're going to choose 1. Whoops, 1 for that. Do we want this name here? No, we don't. Do we want the suffix here? No, it's not a gate. And so passenger access type, actually not sure. I'm just going to say none. So what we do need, though, is to get this orientation right. It's currently facing south. So what can I do here? Objects. Click into here. I want to add a taxiway parking. And I'm just going to make it a helicopter 1. And I'm going to add it. And this is going to be far too big, but then I'm just sort of going to copy and paste once we get this thing going. So what do we want to do here? This size, I think we'll make it down to about 8. And we'll use the gizmo to translate it over here. In fact, I've just lost it, so I'll just click back into here. I want to get 2 into that space there, so we'll get that about there. Just nudge that in there a bit. Okay, I think that will work. So I'm going to call this helicopter parking 1. And notice there's this number down here. Not very obvious, but we're going to choose 1. Whoops, 1 for that. Do we want this name here? No, we don't. Do we want the suffix here? No, it's not a gate. And so passenger access type, actually not sure. I'm just going to say none. So what we do need, though, is to get this orientation right. It's currently facing south. So what can I do here? I can go into the degrees here, again put 90 like I did for the main helipad, and that's what our parking will look like. So that's called helicopter parking 1, and it's got the number 1 on it. Okay, I'm feeling reasonably good about that. Click out of that thing. And so what I'm not seeing are the markings on the ground. So we've got a touchdown marking, a central zone marking. Okay, well, I can't say that that is obvious to me why that is. Well, I don't know. What I do know is that previously the helicopter stand marking puts a yellow ring around here. It's not functioning at the moment, don't know why. I feel that's slightly too large. I'm going to make that 7 meters. That's looking okay now. Right, so here under Levantine Hill, I've got helipad and helicopter parking 1. I'm going to save, and I'm going to highlight helicopter parking 1 and duplicate it. So I've got a copy of that thing now, and I will move that over here to be our number 2. So now with this in here, I am going to rename it to 2, and I'm going to change the number to 2. So this number is important. This is what sort of makes the sequence in the parking when you choose to fly later on. So you do need to do that. So I'll just do now 1, 2, 3 more over here. Okay, that's what I want. That's looking pretty good. And now I just want to do some more over here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm up to 6. I'm going to duplicate this one and bring that all the way over here. But this one, I think, wow, where shall I face it? North or south? I think I might face it north. So let's just change that orientation to, do I mean north? Yeah, 0. And so there's the arrow pointing north now. That's what I want. So get that about there. Now, how much room do I actually have here? I don't feel really that much. So I think I might just leave it at that. So we'll go, that was going to be 6, wasn't it? Have I lost count already? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This will be This will be 6, and we'll call it number 6. And just for fun, I'm going to put a parked static helicopter just in this, what might be a notional number 7 spot. So here in objects, I'm going to go to sim object, and what will I have here? An R44, why not? So I'm going to type in R44. Here are some Asobo R44s, official 2, can't remember what that is, add. And what do we think of this one? Yeah, it's a white one. What if I want a blue? I don't know. There we go. There's a blue one. So I'm going to delete that first one. Where are my objects? They're up here. So we will delete that first one. Click it up on it up here. Delete. That one is gone. Now get onto the second one there and change the gizmo to translate. And I've lost my pointer. Translate. There it is again, back there. Okay, so we'll just pull that way a bit. Wow, it's quite surprising to think you could get 4 helicopters in there. Looking at that, the way I've got it, I think you could get 3 comfortably in. So again, let us save the scenery and we'll see where we're at. So all the columns are gone. Oh, actually, do you know what? We need to, oh dear, this is important. Notice that all of these are yellows because none of them are linked to the main graph. This one does not have a taxi point below it. So this is a little bit confusing. So what we need to do here is a whole new set of things. We need to get our taxiway, what is it we're looking for? A taxi point. So that's what it says there, a taxi point. And we'll just call it normal and we'll add that in and I'll just put it sort of under the helipad there. And I'll just move it up a couple of spots. So up a couple of spots. Okay, that's as high as it wants to go. All right. Oh, there it is. All right. No. One more, please. If you can possibly manage to go up under where I want it. Okay, there you go. So we've now got the taxiway point underneath the helipad. So what does this all mean? Now we've got a red taxiway point, which is red because point is not linked to the main graph. And then we've got all these parkings that are, again, not linked to the main graph. So how do we fix this stuff? We'll do it one by one. We highlight parking 1 and we highlight taxiway point and we add a new object. And this one's going to be called taxiway path. There's no kind of parameters down here for it. We add it, but watch what happens up here in the scenery editor. I add, and now we get white. That's what we want to see. So that's, although we've now got a graphical error down here, that'll sort itself out in a sec. There we go. Good. So now we go 2 and taxiway point, and we add a taxiway path. We go 3, taxiway point, add a path, 4, taxiway point, add a path, 5, taxiway point, add a path, and 6 finally, control click. This is what I'm doing each time, is I'm doing a multi-select with control click, taxiway path, add it, and now I've got no errors in here. What a glorious thing. Everything is white, there are no errors. We've got these sort of green things that show the landing spots there, or the oh, now they've got the yellow rings around them. I don't know what happened before. They're showing that they're associated with that taxiway point underneath the main helipad there. I feel like I might just want to change this one to a heading of 0. There we go. So that one's facing north like this static helicopter is. I might just bring that very slightly over here and over here. And over here. And so I think that's looking just great. Control S to save. Everything is saved. And again, we will build and export, and we will have a go and see what that looks like when we unpack that into our community folder. So again, I'm going to get a zip in my community folder. I'm going to unzip it, and it's a massive 1 second 0.1 to render that lot. So I'm going to unzip that, put it in my community folder. I'm going to remember to delete the old one, important, and then we're going to see what it's like. Right, now let's get back in here and see what we've got. I unzipped it into the community folder, deleted the old one like I said. Levantine Hill. I'm so sorry, I seem to pronounce it in 3 different ways. Levantine Hill. And so there we go. There are our helicopter parkings, 3, 4, 5, and 6, just like I numbered them. And yes, there we go. There's the helipad. So I'm going to put myself there onto parking number 6. So we assume the helicopter is going to start in a shutdown state. So let's get in and see what it's like. Yes, just what I wanted. There's our static R44. Brilliant. And there's me on the parking spot. Wow, that's quite an incline downwards, isn't it? That's going to be interesting. Anyway, that's what the landscape is. I believe that's what it must be like. Anyway, so there's the helipad. We've already tested that. That's all good. I wonder if I could make any of the other stuff a bit flatter as well. I'm not sure. And all our other parking spots are over here. You can see the yellow circles. Those yellow circles are not realistic, but I've just put them in here so that we can see them, really. And, right, I'm really happy with that. So, what can we do next? Answer, we can go back up to dev mode. We can open a recent project once more. And we can wait for this to come in. We can select the scenery here, and we can load that in the editor. And once that has finished loading in, just a few moments here with that weird graphics glitch, we then see where we are at. So what might we still do to make this even more beautiful? Well, I'm more or less happy with the sort of the arrangement, right? The parking spots are good. The helipad's good. I think that I'm going to add something that's not realistic, but will be helpful. Because I don't think the site actually has one, but I'm going to click into objects here, and I'm going to add a windsock. So here it is. It's come over here. Going to bring that down here, put that in here. As I say, I don't think this actually exists in the site in real life, but how convenient would this be? So that's that. I'm going to scale it down a bit. It looks very large, so I'm going to make it maybe 0.75. 0.75. I'm in the wrong field. 0.75, and then we can see it shrinks down a bit. And so that looks pretty good there. So, okay, happy with that windsock addition. So this looks a bit flat here. There should be a car park in here. So guess what? We can add a car park. And that requires us to click this up here. Car parking. Default means that we can draw it and disc and square as sort of preset. So I'm going to add, and then we get this thing again, the red dot. So we control, click, 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 and click. Click, click, and click. Yeah, I think that looks about right. And double click to finish it. And so they're all facing in the wrong direction. So we'll fix that by using this here. Cars heading 90, is it? Let's try 90. There's a couple there in the right and the... it's always a risk with this stuff. I'm going to just shrink the polygon slightly. Okay, that one's not looking too bad, I think. Let's just come over here. Let's put another one over here. Another car park here, I think. What shall we do here? We will add a car parking. Control click. Click, 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 click. You get quite fast at this after a while, I've got to say. This one actually looks natively quite good. So double click here to finish it. Do I need to change anything there? I don't think so. That looks pretty good. Okay, so we're happy with the car parking. I would say my one criticism of cars parked in MSFS 2024 is that there are far too many yellow ones. I'm all for a yellow car, but there are not that many in real life. In Australia, everyone drives black, white, grey, or silver. Anyway. I'm just very slightly concerned about these two clumps of trees. This one here, which is supposed to be tall, and this one over here, which is tall as well. Now, every time it auto-generates at a slightly different height. So I'm going to put one tall tree in each spot. And so I'm going to choose tree from down here. I'm going to choose Eucalyptus grandis. we're in Australia after all. We're going to add that thing. Wow, that is tall. So we're going to change the gizmo to translate. We're going to push that over here. I mean, that is a tall tree. That is a tall tree. I've got a couple of different variations here. No, I can change it in here. Available in the current... Okay, so in the properties, once I've clicked on that tree, in the properties, I then drop down species name. Here are all those that are available in the current biome, whatever it is here in Southeast Australia. No, don't like that one so much. I want a thick kind of Caliphyllum. I don't know what that is. It's not a eucalypt. Miniat. Oh, that looks good actually. I think that's realistic for what might be there in real life. So I am going to cheekily duplicate that and bring one down here as well, and make sure that there's at least one tall one in here as well. So even when something like Seasons Enhanced by Bijan Habashi overwrite some of these trees and makes them a bit lower, we're going to have at least 2 tall ones in there. So that's looking good. Those are my trees. So we're missing a fence here. There should be a fence coming down, separating the highway here and that roadway there to keep people out of all the important helicopter areas. So how do we create a fence? It's another weird thing here. So we click this up. This one's called a vector placement. And in our vector placements, I'm going to search for fence underscore, is it? So what have we got here? Black iron fence. No. Sometimes you got to scroll through them a bit. Here we go. Here's the generic ones, I think. Here we go. I added another character into the filter here. Fence W for wood. Let's try this fence wood 1. So we'll click that. And what do we do now? We've got... Oh, we need to add. Yes. And we're going to do the same sort of thing we did before. I'll start from this end this time. We'll see how far we need to go. So we'll start the fence here. You can kind of see here on the ground where it's supposed to be. So we'll start it here. Control click. Control click and click. I think there's supposed to be a sign or something here. I don't know quite what to do about that right now. And we just run all the way through here. I think... Well, do you know what? I can end one point there. And I think it goes all the way through here. There's our fence. Well, I don't know. We'll just put it all the way there just for now. And control click and then double click to finish it. Now, does this look like a fence right now? No, it does not. It looks quite unsuccessful. So there's an example of it right there. We've got a bit of a sad looking half fence there. So what we need to do is edit this thing by going into vector placement, AS fence wood 1. Okay, that's fine. We'll zoom in a bit. And what we need to do is... Here we go, get right down. What we need to do is rotate this and then change the spacing from 50 meters. Let's just try to 10. I've got a feeling it's actually 2, but I'll show you what 10 does. If I change the spacing between models to 10, then you see there's more of them. I think these are actually too wide because I've done it before. 2. Okay. But notice they're all facing out. That's not ideal. So let's rotate them to 90 degrees. You have to do this every time you add it. 90 degrees. Now look what we've got. It's not really perfect there, but it ends nicely at that end. And what have we got over here with a slight change in direction there? That's pretty successful to separate the helicopters out from the main road there. I'm pretty happy with that. What do you think of this? We've got a nice fence here which doesn't join up. I'll deal with that another time. We've got all these parking spots here. Very pleased with that. Have they reversed direction? I really thought I had all of those pointing at 090, whatever. They're facing out the direction of the blue arrows now. I don't think I care. I've added a nice windsock there. Unrealistic, but very convenient. And I've got that there. I think this is looking like a massive improvement over what was here previously. I am going to save it. I am going to build it and export it. And then we are going to see what this thing is like. Well, let's imagine ourselves in the Yarra Valley. It's evening. A few showers around. Bit of a cold southerly coming in. Real world weather. And there's Levantine Hill over there. Trying to look at it directly with the VR is a bit of a challenge. So yes, immersing yourself in virtual reality in the scenery that you have added to is quite a satisfying experience, I have to say. Don't know what's happened to my airspeed indicator. It is frozen on 0. It's broken. Pitot heater's on. Anti-coals are not on, but they are now. And there's the big wine hall right ahead, and I can just see the windsock dead ahead, and there's the helipad now coming into view. So these tall trees are a bit of a challenge here. I'll just try and sit myself tall above the console here. These tall trees are a bit of a challenge. That was a tip-off from a real-world pilot friend of mine who has done this route. Well, it looks like a westerly, if anything, right now. We've avoided that tree. There's our parked R44. Our parking spots we can take with our pick here. I'm just going to edge them very slowly to our helipad that we have made with its nice flush edges. Oh, that's wonderful. And sit gently down here. What did that look like? I'll tell you what, this virtual reality business really helps you get tightly into that helipad. It really does. Well, obviously there is so much more I could do with this very simple scenery, but to think that there was absolutely nothing here before I started working on this, and I've got this as a fully functioning heliport that I can do missions or activities from Melbourne. And I've just populated it with a little bit of life here, as we can see. And no yellow cars either. Look, I am really thrilled with this functionality to be able to add, enhance, according to my needs, inside MSFS 2024. It's not new, it's been there the whole time. But then again, I hadn't had an opportunity to try it before, so I hope that this video has given you pause for thought and what you might do to add the missing helicopters in your life or your scene, your city, your countryside. And you can do this yourself as well. Take these flights into interesting locations like this in your own time. Well, I hope this video tutorial has been really helpful to you. I hope I'll catch you for another video real soon. See you later.